Hello, I'm reading from my book, Play the Man, and we're up to chapter 11, and this one's entitled Integrity. We can read in Job that God actually boasted to Satan about the integrity of Job. It was obviously a characteristic he didn't come across every day, and he was so pleased to see it that he was the one to bring it to Satan's attention. And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that fears God and eschews evil? And still he holds fast his integrity, although you moved me against him to destroy him without cause." That's from Job chapter 2, verse 3. Paul recognized the value of integrity and encouraged Titus to educate the young men he was mentoring. Young men, likewise, exhort to be sober-minded, in all things showing yourself a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech, that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. That's Titus chapter 2, verse 6 to 8. I sing a song my husband wrote, and the words go like this. It isn't hard to talk about the way God rules in your life. It isn't hard to go to church, to sing all those lovely hymns and praise your Lord. But what do people see in you? What does your family see at home? Do they see Jesus living in you? Are you a light shining bright on your own? And what do people see in me? I wonder if they see my Lord. It's no use saying I love Jesus if my life doesn't follow his word. I'd better not tell the whole world about God's goodness, love, and purity. No, I'd better not say God rules in my life unless they see Jesus in me. If only we were perfect. Oh, the heartache and pain we would save ourselves and others if only we would live in such a way that God could boast about us like he boasted about Job. Other words for integrity are honesty, uprightness, candor, goodness, virtue, incorruptibility, principle, purity. If only we could be depended on to say what we mean, do what we say, and to be who we profess to be. It says in Proverbs chapter 20, verse 7, "The just man walks in his integrity. His children are blessed after him." We would do well to remember that others are observing us at all times. I remember having a coffee one time with Morris. It was a self-service coffee where you were supposed to help yourself to unlimited drinks after you'd paid for your initial cup. I had a couple of decaffeinated coffees and thought the little sachets the coffee was put into were so handy that I put a couple of them into my handbag. I thought these would be very useful, as I often go to people's houses and they're not always stocked with decaf. "What you doing?" asked Morris. And before I could answer, he told me, "Put them back. You're not stealing while you're with me." Staring at him for a few seconds because he was so serious over something I thought to be very petty, I suddenly felt mortified, knowing he was right, and that there were still areas where the criminal inside me needed dealing with. You'd be amazed what children see you do and copy. At times they can be very embarrassing. Whereas we would be discreet about doing certain things, they would be very bold, as their conscience doesn't trouble them. For their sakes, we must maintain our integrity and uprightness so that they can learn from us how to conduct themselves in a godly manner, both in public and in private. For instance, if you break your promise, then don't blame them if they grow up to do the same thing. If you steal pencils, paper, or time from work, that's what they will do. If you complain about those in authority at work or in the church, expect them to follow suit. If you tell lies to get out of difficult situations, borrow things and never return them, grumble when asked to do something, sulk when corrected, etc., etc., because the list is endless, it will come out in their attitudes. We have to guard diligently our hearts, for out of them are the issues of life. As parents, we've been given precious souls to nurture and present to God. Indeed, every husband has been given a spouse before whom he has to set an example if she is to work with him. Let her know that you can be relied on. If you promise to give your wife some time, then make it happen. You are the one who is in control of your actions. Nobody else will take the rap for you. Cultivating an honest relationship between your wife and children is of the utmost importance and must not be belittled. A promise unfulfilled can cause such disappointment that it can develop into a root of deep hatred, even in the lives of so-called Christians. I know, because I've met them. Their marriage relationships have suffered for years because they lost their trust and couldn't forgive or forget. This is not right, of course, but don't give room for the devil to destroy what God has given you. In this area, more than any other, I think many women feel let down. Not because their husbands intend to let them down. It's just that other things take priority in men's lives and they don't really take their wives seriously. After all, the little ladies are nearly always there when their husbands get home. And men can usually give them some good reason for their neglect. But it does hurt, especially at first. Over a period of time, most women sadly get to the place where it doesn't affect them anymore and they get on with their lives. Then, whenever the husband does try to make an effort at pleasing her, the wife will automatically expect him to fail and let her down yet again. But surely, this is not a good thing. At one time in our history, English men were proud of their integrity. An Englishman's word is his bond was the way in which our countrymen were described. But this is no longer true. Indeed, we cannot even pass cheques over a counter without the shop assistant requesting our banker's card to guarantee payment. The following is a true story. A couple called for a drive-through meal from a McDonald's restaurant. They parked their car and opened the brown McDonald's paper bag, only to find that their meal was not there. They had been given the wrong bag. As it happened, they had been given the bag containing that whole day's takings, which were intended for the bank, a great deal of money. What should they do? They couldn't keep it. Their consciences forced them to go back to the restaurant and explain what had happened. The manager was overwhelmed, to say the least, and extremely grateful that the bag had been returned and begged the couple to stay just a little longer, as their act of honesty and integrity was such a rare thing in this day and age, he wanted it reporting in the newspapers. This immediately alarmed the man, as he looked at the woman beside him. "I'm sorry, we can't do that. This is not my wife." He didn't mind committing adultery, but he definitely couldn't steal. We all have some form of integrity, but just how selective is it?